Yo, what is going on, Guardians, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 gameplay video. In this video, we're going to be talking about the Crimson Days event, which went live yesterday in Destiny 2. And overall, I'm very impressed with the event. I'm very impressed with the new game type. So we're going to chat about that. So this is our very first non-4s Crucible game type. This is not 4v4. It's our first time to experience Destiny 2 in a different environment. It's 2v2, it's doubles, and very reminiscent of the Crimson Doubles playlist that we had with the previous Crimson Days events in Destiny 1. So the 2v2 brings with it some new mechanics which really sort of shake up the way that Destiny 2 is played. So when you're close to each other in these in the Crimson Days playlist, when you and your teammate are close to one another, you have a buff, and that buff it dramatically increases the rate at which you cool down your abilities. So one of the biggest feedbacks that the community has given is that, hey, we took a lot of the abilities out of the game with these longer cooldown rates, so we don't get to use our abilities as much. We want to feel more powerful. Well, now they may have overcorrected a little bit, and I'll get to that later, but now you've got this increased cooldown rate, so you're able to use your grenades more, your class abilities more, and your melee abilities more. So it's actually sped up the gameplay quite dramatically, and that's one of the things that I'll come back to time and time again throughout this video as we're talking about this playlist, is that the pace is so much faster. It's not a very standoffish, passive playlist. And I mean, I played it for 7 hours straight, and the number of matches that I had that were passive and standoffish were like 1 or 2. Most of the time, it's pretty quick paced, and that's why I enjoyed it so much. So, close to each other, you get that buff. You get these occasional markers on your HUD that indicate exactly where your opponents are. If they're not close to each other, it'll give you these markers so that you can see exactly where they are just briefly. And what that does is it increases the pace of the gameplay. When you get an indicator saying the bad guy's over there, then you're able to sort of collapse on them. Maybe if they're separated from their teammate, you can say, let's target this dude. Let's go pinch him back in here. So it just increases the pace even more. And there's also the Vengeance buff, which was it was in Crimson Doubles back in Destiny 1, which made it so that when your teammate dies, if your teammate dies and you're relatively close to him, you get the Vengeance buff, which instantly restores your health, which can be frustrating to play against sometimes. So you have to be ready for it. You got to be communicating with your teammate, or at least just sort of be aware of when the other guy on the enemy team goes down, so that if you're pushing the other dude, you can expect him to get his health back. So that can burn you, but you get your health back, and you get increased movement speed with the Vengeance buff. So those are the mechanics, and I really enjoy how fast-paced this playlist is, this game type. It's with all the abilities and the buffs that you're getting and the indicators on your HUD as to where your opponents are. It just keeps things moving quickly, and you'll notice that in the gameplay that I'm posting here. This is all gameplay taken from yesterday, and it was just so fast, so fun. And there's power ammo that spawns. It spawns technically twice in a round, but the second time is like with 10 seconds left in the round. So it's pretty much negligible at that point. So basically it's one heavy ammo spawn per round. So whoever wins the initial onslaught usually gets mid-map control and can claim the power ammo. So power ammo does come into play, and you can have some really fun moments with that power ammo, and there's plenty of that in the gameplay here in the video. So the loot pool for the Crimson Days event includes things like shaders, which look pretty good, and especially if you're going for that pink and white. But there's also sort of like that I don't know what you call it, like a passionate red, crimson color as well in the palette, which looks pretty good with one of the shaders. So you've got some shaders, you got sparrows, you got 2 exotic sparrows and a handful of legendary sparrows, and there's a bunch of ghosts in the loot pool as well. And I played for 7 hours yesterday, and I got everything. I mean, if you're gonna play, you're probably gonna get something that you want. I got both the exotic sparrows, as well as the legendary ones, and the ghosts and the shaders. So, and you get a shader at the end of every match. So I mean, you start stacking them as well on top of all the Crimson Days event engrams that you're getting that you can turn into tests for rewards as well. So you should be pretty well rewarded for your time invested into this activity. By the way, if you hear snoring in the background, that'd be my dog. He's just laying on the floor next to me snoring up a storm. So sorry if you hear that. Anyways, I asked him politely to stop, but he refused. So anyways, on top of the loot pool and all the things that were introduced in that loot pool, there's also a new map. So they brought a map called the Burnout. It is in the Infinite Forest, located in the Vex future, which is dark and dismal. And I really like that spin because the Burnout is a remake of the Burning Shrine, which was one of the most loved, most iconic Destiny 1 maps that we spent several years on. So the remake is better than the original because, you know, the two things that people hated the most about the original Burning Shrine were A, the glaring sun, and B, the head glitch rocks that were in the outside area of the map. So people could post up behind those head glitches, you know, and be nearly unkillable with a glaring sun behind them. And it's so hard to shoot them and push that. Well, the head glitch rocks are gone, so you can't cheese back there. And since it's in the dark, dismal Vex future, it's actually a really bleak and dark outside, so there's no glaring sun either. The overall aesthetic of the map is wonderful. I absolutely loved playing on this map, and I'm excited to have it into the rotation as well. I think this is going to be a great map. This is going to be a map that when it pops up, we're like, yes, the Burnout. So absolutely love this map. It's easily going to be one of the best maps in the game at this point. I firmly believe that. So for me, best maps in the game include the Shores of Time remake, now the Burnout, the Burning Shrine remake, as well as Dead Cliffs and Javelin 4. I think these are some of the best maps in the game, most well balanced. They have a good flow to them, and I'm excited to see, you know, anytime another great map comes into the game, that is a plus, and we didn't have to pay for it either. So it's not like it's connected to some DLC that we had to purchase. It's just there now. So definitely loving the new map. So there's plenty of stuff going on with the Crimson Days event. I think it's definitely worth your time to come check it out, to play a little bit, get some loot, get some shaders, you know, to see the new sparrows and ghosts. I don't know, I'm not really a ghost guy. I could care less what ghost I have equipped. I don't use my sparrow very much at all because I'm in the Crucible, but I do love shaders. So I liked getting those shaders and throwing them on some of my weapons. I was able to use snipers and slug shotties a lot in this playlist and just feel really powerful. You know, and I did some solo queuing as well, and was able to win my matches solo queued as well. So yeah, and oh, by the way, so back to the mechanics of the game. So it's kind of like survival. So I guess I forgot to say this when I was talking about the mechanics of the game. My apologies. It's sort of like survival. So at the end of each round, whatever team has the most kills wins that round. First to 3 round victories wins the game. So it's a best of 5, and if it comes down to the 5th round, if it's 2-2, then the 5th round is a sudden death round, where it's just instantly a capture point pops up on a central location on the map, and the team that captures that objective point wins. And on top of that, you don't respawn. So if you and your teammate die, that's it. Round over, the other team wins, and vice versa. So, and at the end of each round, if both teams have the same number of kills at the end of each round, then a capture point pops up in that same location as well. You can respawn, but it's first team to capture the objective point wins. So those are the mechanics. I really am enjoying it. It's fast-paced. The only thing that I would say as a negative is that you'll run into a fair amount of grenade spamming. There's a handful of classes that can do double grenades, so you'll run into double skips a lot with Arc Striders, which are just super obnoxious because they're getting them cooled down so fast that they can basically in a minute they can probably throw 6 or 7 skip grenades in a minute, which is just redonkulous, if not more, depending on how close they're playing to their teammate. So it can be super obnoxious. The only teams that we lost to were teams that just spammed grenades, and we died to grenades more than we died to weapons, and that felt that honestly feels kind of bad. You don't enjoy dying to grenades over and over and over again. And there are ways that you can try and outplay those grenades, but at the end of the day, abilities are strong. And if the other team just has twice as many grenades as you, it can be difficult and frustrating to play against. So just be aware going into it that you might run into a lot of grenade spam. So grenades like the skip grenades, the arc bolt grenades, and firebolt grenades, those are the strongest in this playlist. So expect to run into some of that. It wasn't like overly prominent. It wasn't every match. It was like 1 out of every, I don't know, 6 or 7 matches that we ran into that. So it's definitely manageable. Overall, really love the playlist. It was a ton of fun. Let me know what your experience was like. Did you enjoy it? I'm excited to get back into the Crucible and play some more of it this week. So, yep, thanks for stopping by, guys, and I hope to catch you in that 2v2 playlist, and maybe we can throw down. So, take it easy, y'all.